Hi, I'm Scott Rez. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to go through one of the latest tracks I've done. Just go through, show you how it's broken down, what elements I've used, and hopefully give you some insight into what we do. So have a look at this. Right, the track we're going to work through today is a new one, bit of a bootleg that I've done for this new event on the 6th, which is Rockin' with the Best. I'll just give you a little play. Right, now as you can see, obviously there's all the tracks, all the individual elements. We will go through them, and some of the automation stuff at the top here. The program I use is Pro Tools. For no particular reason, they're all as good as each other. Whether you use Cubase, Fruity Loops, Ableton, Logic, whatever, it's just personal preference these days because they all seem to be as good as each other. I use Pro Tools for I had to use it when I was in uni, so I just continued on using it because I had to buy a legit copy, so I thought might as well use it if I've got a legit copy. Right, yeah, so we'll start, obviously, I'll start with the drums. The drum's just a basic kick. If you look here, zoom in a bit, it's just a kick drum. There's thousands of these about. Just one kick. It's rendered with a little tiny ride on the track. Vengeance, absolutely brilliant, but everywhere sample packs, kick drums. There's that many out there. You've got no excuse for not using a good one. Go through and get a ride. Good tip. Get a little ride and render that with a kick and in your own sample bank and send it. Then you'll have to flip through the rides, see which fits with it. It just gives it that little sharpness and punch. You know, you can hear it cutting through the mix. Drums are pretty simple in this track. The only other thing we've got is another loop. Basically, so it's just a loop, just a on the off beat, on the off coming through. With this track, I wanted to keep it quite stompy because it's that type of track. So I didn't want to override it with claps and stuff like that. It's got a nice little ride on the offbeat and stuff, a hi-hat on the offbeat, should I say. Again, these loops, as you can see, the Vengeance loops and stuff already, little bits of processing on them afterwards. They don't need much processing because they're actually good loops, just little sort of bits. Like I say, just a bit of EQ just to sit them in the mix properly, a bit of reverb and whatnot. And then there's a little tiny, just a little tiny like little effect loop really. I've EQ'd all the bottom end out of that just so there's no clashing with the bass and stuff. So you know, and that's pretty much the drum set for this track. Pretty basic, nothing too fancy. Obviously we've got the crashes and the swoops and effects and stuff all down the bottom. Which obviously just standard in the track, just normal, a crash and a drop. These are all standard in the effects folders. Little rises and little stuff like that. They're all just go through and what fits and stuff. You want to just enhance that drop and make sure people know there's a change coming up. Right, the vocals for this track, like I said, it was actually a laid-back loop vocal, Rockin' with the Best, but it was originally, I originally heard it in a DJ Kurt track, which obviously the riff from this track's from. So again, that was just the acapella in, get it in time, make sure that, get it in time with the track, time stretch it.
You are now rocking with the best, oh yes. You are now rocking with the best, oh yes. You are now rocking with the best, oh yeah. You are now rock, oh yeah. You are now rock, oh yeah. You are now rock, oh yes, with the best.
That's just got a bit of delay on it, as you can hear and stuff. And just chopping it up, obviously, and pretty simple vocal where you want it to be. There's another vocal track here, which I've cut up on the build up, which has actually got effect tricks on it. So it's just simple. I'll show you that now. If I can get it up. So yeah, so there's the effects tricks there. That's just running. Just done some patterns in and stuff, and got it how I wanted it, and then so if I bypass that, you'll just hear it's just a standard build up with the drums, but put the effect back on. You know, it just adds something a little bit different rather than just a standard build up, because the riff's building up and stuff. Yeah, just simple stuff really. Like I said, I don't tend to go mad with bits of tricks and stuff. Obviously, you know, whatever works. You can spend hours, sit there spending hours doing fancy bits and all that. And yeah, they add, you know, they do add. I'm not saying there's no place for them, because they do add doing fancy bits, but you can go mad on them really and spend an absolute age and tweaking, getting them right and stuff. And I think that just the track overall is more important than any little clever tricks that you do. Right, so they're the drums. Now the bass for this is again, I'm just sampling these. They're just basses sampled, and sounds and stuff like found sounds, and they're probably the best bass lines to get. And even when you create your own, if you make them, you're better off programming, getting a nice fat sound, and you're better off just sampling that down anyway and keeping it. Do a nice long sample, because you can cut a nice bit out, you know, just a nice chunk that you like, and sample it, and you can whack it in your sampler and do all sorts of stuff with it. So the bass with this is just a bass, just a typical. I'm actually running it through Reason in the sampler. There it is. I'm actually running it through Reason with some just samplers. I use them again because I know how to use this sampler inside out. You can get all fancy. Contact's another good sampler, but I know how to use it. I've used this for years and years, so it's just about knowing your stuff, knowing your programs that you're using really. So that's just a bass sound. Again, you can see here if I put that to 8ths, I've shortened the length of it just to give it a bit more bounce. Hang on, I'll just show you the sound, the difference, and then you can hear that difference there. It's just got a bit of drag to it when you have it the full 8th, so I normally always knock them back, and it gives it a sort of driving bounce, and then to that again, and I mean, I've got some reverb and stuff added to the bass and whatnot, just to fill out in between, make sure it's working with the drum. The kick drum, I think I've only the kick. Yeah, all I've got on the kick is, because it's processed beforehand in other projects and stuff. On this, I've just took, as you can see, the kick. I've just took a little bit from like 50 hertz down, which is normally where a lot of the sort of stuff speakers can't replicate. It's a lot of the frequencies. It just muddies the mix up. If you normally, with a lot of stuff really, drums and your bass and stuff, just knock about 50 hertz off. So a little tail, just a little low shelf cut like that, then you can you'll find that your mixes are a little bit clearer and stuff. But that's, like I say, I'm processing with the ride, like I said before, but that's it. And then the next bass that I've got is just a sample. Everyone's heard it, you know, it's that old Rock to the Rhythm and thingy type of sample, and it just gives the, you know, all the weights in the first bass and all of it, and then you can add, you know, you can add another sound in. So if you play them together, just really fattens it up, you know. You can hear it, all the frequency, bass and kick working together there. Take that out there, it's just a little, you know, you've got no drive in there. Now we can put it back in. Right, the next part of the track, obviously we've got the kick, the kick and the bass working together now, and obviously the drum loop. I'll just play you all that. We've got that working together, working quite quite well. Next thing we want to add is the harp. Again, just a standard, just harp. Again, the secret to all this stuff is just to go through, listen to the track, put your obviously your harp in what you want it to do. You can draw it in yourself and use sounds. You can use just a one finger pre-harp, which I've done. It's, you know, it's quite simple, but you just want to go and see everything sits with the elements that you've got now. I normally do the harp, I add the harp after I've added the synth, because then I can test it out here when it's underlying the synth, so there's no clash and stuff, and I make sure it's filling the right areas that I want. But again, it's just a simple harp. Very simple. I think it's from the Nexus. Again, yeah, there we go. It's in the Dance expansion pack, and it's the first one really in the Dance Volume 2. Like I say, nothing special. So that harps, and I got that with, obviously, like I say, I'll come back to that because obviously we do the synth line first, so it does fit. The synth line was, just unsample that. Let's go through the synth line there. Here's the synth. Again, same principles as the bass. We've got, it's actually, so that's just a little sound. I've mixed that down as audio. I think it's up there. It is up there. This was, I think, let me have a look. It was triggered through Reason. Yeah, I'll put that up there because that part's muted. And that's the bass, so it's not 3, 4. It's not that. There we go. So on that, it's just playing a bit of portamento, so you hear that bend on the. A bit of reverb on it as well. Oh no, cancel. So that was just that, but I mixed it down as audio because obviously I've got to chop it all up and it's rewired through Reason and stuff. It's a bit of a pain. I just find it easier. Well, I just found it easier this track. I just mixed it down as audio already, which is that there. So now I've got that, and I make sure that's working with the bass, obviously. I want that top end, the top end sound, that's why it's quite screechy. So if I just solo the bass and the harp and stuff, then you can hear it running with that. That's fitting nice with the bass and stuff now, but obviously that sound on its own, you know, when you just listen on its own, it doesn't sound too great. So, and then just back it up again like the bass. Again, that's just the Nexus. I think it's, I'm not too sure. A German trumpet in the dance leads, just not even in a pack, that's just the dance leads you get with Nexus. You know, flick through, listen. You know, that's the important thing. Listen with your ears and listen what sounds right with it and fits with the track. No, I'll play it with the without. It just adds all the room, the effect, the bottom end. You don't want to make it too much. Obviously, you got some bottom end in your drums and your bass. They're all working together. So you want to just again listen, make sure it adds to the track. Added that second bass in. That gels it, sort of just gels it all together, and that is pretty much the track. I mean, apart from a bit of automation, This is just, again, if you listen on the break, we've got sort of filters in with a high pass on it. I've just routed that to a group, and then on the groups I've routed both the audio of the riff and the sort of underlying riff as well. They're routed to a stereo bus, bust out, and they go through. It's got a filter on it, so if you watch now, I'll put that there, and you can see, you'll see the filter kick in. It's just letting all the bass back in. And there we go, it's all back in. And then also on that track as well, I've got a bit of a stereo widener. Obviously this comes it's an air plug-in from Pro Tools straight with it. If I just play it from there. I don't know if you'll pick it up, but it just, instead of it being dead centre in the mix with the riff and stuff, it just sort of pans it out a bit and spreads, you know, gets in the stereo field and puts it out a little bit and makes it sound bigger. So yeah, if you can get hold of a stereo width, there's loads of free ones about as well on the net and stuff. Yeah, and then later on in the track, obviously underneath there I've got just quickly over this break, there's not loads in it. Obviously I've got the riff, the art running through the break. I have got a crowd under there, typical for this type of track, just a normal audio crowd, again in sample packs all over places. I've just got a little, I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but just a little filtered string. It's just a string line playing one finger note, and it's played, and then I've just filtered all the top end out of the strings. It's nice and low. It's just, again, it's just a filler, listen through, just to fill it in. Everything don't need to be big and massive. It just needs to sort of add, you know, you'll appreciate this more on a bigger system, you know, and just adds that little bit of warmth to the track and stuff in the break. You don't want to go too mad, obviously, because you're going to kick in with everything here and kick through. Again, you'll just build up. Just sort of add the bass back in there a little bit, and obviously got a build up there and the breakdown effects and stuff. And then yeah, so you know, we've got the intro, the DJ mix intro. We get the first break. We have the first kick in. So again, the same effectrics on that bit of the rocking bit of the vocal. Then it chops up again, and then we break down to the second break. Now on this bit, I put the Benny Benassi, just for something a little bit different. I put the Benny Benassi Satisfaction little riff. Now this comes with Nexus, and it's just, again, if you look in the library, it's just in the dance, it's a little sequence that you get. There's loads of them. There's I mean, Last Night and a few other things and that popular stuff. Children, it does Robert Miles' Children thing. But so all I've done with that is gone in and took out, you get a drum with it. I didn't want the drum because it's a break. I don't want a big fat drum like that. You know, so there's a few sounds here that you can, you know, mess about and turn off. And that's it really. It was just a sort of little sequence that I come across and sounded quite well. Tried it. Obviously I put a little EQ'd kick in there at the bottom. Just a little short EQ'd kick. I took a lot of the bottom end out of that, just with, again, with a EQ. No crowd again. This time here on the filter, as it's going, the riff just filters up instead of from, So it starts off letting all the top end back in rather than letting the bottom end back in. So high pass rather than low pass, technical term. Yeah, so as I was saying, we build up, obviously get the build up there. After the Benny Benassi loop. And then we build up again, just copy the build up over with the vocal, the way it builds up and stuff.
Oh yes, you are now rocking with the best, yes.
Again, everything's going, it builds over for 2 phrases, kicks, drum, everything's going. And then we come up here to the end. Phone's bleeping. We come up here, coming towards the end of the track now. We're just going to drop the riff out, which filters a little bit, as you can see there, filtering down, just to sort of get rid of it, along with the drum roll, which is there, and the vocal, and then we. Got the kick, the bass going on a straight, which is there, just straight all the way to the end now. Don't want any changing because this is the mix out part of the track. So yeah, we'll drop that over for again for the phrase, for the right amount. And then we come in, we've got the vocal. And we just got the drums to the end then, it comes to the end of the track. So yeah, and that's it basically. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it gives you some insight into sort of how we do it. I mean, it's probably no different to how you do it. It just sort of takes time to build your ear up to listen to how things sit together sonically and within the mix, and getting things, your mixes will become less and less muddy because you just try and pack a load of frequencies in to fill them out, and your ear will get used to that, and it'll just come over time. Unfortunately, it just takes time to do. This will be out, this track will be available for a free download on the BTID.co.uk. If you go onto that, you can click into tracks, and my SoundCloud's on there, or you can go straight to my SoundCloud, but there is some good stuff on the BTID site as well, a load of other free tracks and wallpapers and mixes and all that. So yeah, no worries, thanks for watching, see you again.